So today we'll be talking about real estate career opportunities with specifically our firm, CNC Property Management and CT Realty Group, but we'll also be covering the industry as a whole. And we'll be looking at some of the different areas that you can go into in real estate. There's different areas of expertise that are perfect for people with different levels of risk aversion. And to me, that's what it really comes down to is how much risk aversion you have and your current situation, how much risk you're able to take. So for me, real estate has been such an amazing career for me to undertake. I started in real estate about 11 years ago when I got my broker's license at 23 years old. At the time, there was a little bit of a DRE loophole where if you studied finance or had a certain amount of finance classes, you could skip becoming a real estate agent and become a real estate broker. So I went ahead and took advantage of that loophole in the industry and got my broker's license at a very young age. I went directly into starting my own property management company with my business partner, Kevin Cesario. And Kevin and I took that opportunity as just a way to really attack the industry and make a name for ourselves. So our path was we were doing the property management, and every time we saw a for rent by owner sign, whether it be in person or posted online on Craigslist or Zillow, we were calling that landlord that was posted for rent by owner. We were asking if we could help find them a tenant, see if they would pay us commission. We would meet them in person and convert the tenant, then get them to allow us to manage it. And then we'd add that investor to our database. And then throughout time, convert them into being a buyer or seller and opportunity for us. And through this, have experienced tremendous success. And throughout the last 3 years, my mission has been now sharing this type of success with new individuals and really shortening the gap that it takes to become from the time where you get your real estate license until the time that you actually start transacting with people. And so we've developed some very creative ways that we help individuals do that. A lot of them are the same paths that Kevin and I took. And other ones are ones that we have developed through the years from becoming well versed at online lead generation and digital marketing. And that's really opened up things for our team members and led to tremendous amount of success in specifically the last 3 years since the onset of COVID. So today, first, I'll be talking about just some general opportunities through the industry. And so these are some of the four primary verticals that you can get into with real estate. And so the first one is one of the most well-known ones, and that is getting involved in mortgage. And so when you work in mortgage, the two primary positions that you can undertake are loan officer or an underwriter. Now, when you're working as a loan officer, you're working in a very similar setup as when you are a sales agent. When you're a loan officer, you're working with mortgage loans to assist people with borrowing the money they need to buy a house or a condo. What I'll personally say about mortgage is I love the mortgage industry. I'm not currently in the mortgage industry, but I'm really excited about one day getting into it. What I will say about mortgage is when it's good, it's really good. And when it's bad, it's never as bad as it seems. So mortgage loan officers are really become dependent on what the interest rates in the market are, because when interest rates are low, they have a tremendous influx of refinance opportunities, and those pay them the same exact commission as they would on a new purchase. But when we are in a time like we are currently, where interest rates are on the rise or higher than they were previously in the last 6 to 9 months, a lot less people are refinancing to the point of nobody's refinancing. And so when you do lose that part of your business being in refinance, it is a huge detriment to your revenue of your business. But like I said, when things are good, they're really good, because when people have the opportunity to get lower interest rates, everybody wants to refinance. Anybody who has any financial IQ takes that extra work to get their payments lowered and may even get some cash out of the property to do different things like invest or upgrade their home. In order to become a mortgage loan officer, you need to have both a MLO license and a realtor's license. You can operate with just only an MLO license if you're working under a loan officer with their broker's license, but you are going to make significantly less commission if you're doing that. So I do recommend pursuing both licenses. When you're working on an underwriter, you're doing a lot less of the sales side of things, and you're working more so on verifying that the people who are buying these properties are actually credit worthy and are going to not default on their payments. Next vertical is becoming an appraiser. And this is one that was very interesting to me when I was first starting my career. You can become a certified appraiser, and you get paid basically to give appraisals on individual properties that are going to give the exact market value based on different approaches. So banks and lenders will hire you directly, and you'll get paid by the people purchasing them. You work your own hours, and you have the ability to make a good amount of money doing this. The negative to becoming an appraiser, it has a tremendous barrier to entry. You have to have 150 hours of education to become an appraiser, and then you also have to apprentice under someone for 2,000 hours. And so that's why the appraisers who are already established they have a monopoly on the industry, and they are only allowing so many people in. So if you are someone who happens to someone who is an appraiser, I highly recommend having a conversation with them about it, because if you could get in and get your appraisal certification early on in your career and have that as a foundation for yourself as a way to make lower amounts of money but consistently, then you could have that, and then you can add home sales, property management, and investing to that type of career. I think it's an excellent approach to becoming a very well known and very successful person in the real estate industry. But the key is knowing somebody who's already won so that you can apprentice underneath them. And next would be home inspectors. And so the two primary inspectors we run into are both home inspectors and pest inspectors. And there are licensings required for both of these dependent on the field that you're going to enter. And so what the home inspectors do is they complete property inspections to verify the condition of the property. And what they're really looking to do is save home buyers from future catastrophes of the property. And so they're identifying things like roof leaks or foundation issues or electrical problems or plumbing that was not installed correctly. And for this, you get paid based upon each time you complete the job, similar to an appraisal. So I also like it for a lot of the same reasons that I like being an appraiser, because you can make your own hours and you really can work as much as you'd like. The upside, as far as income is concerned, is not quite as good as being a mortgage officer or an appraiser, but it's a very strong, steady cash flow. And it's a great way for you to get into the industry, learn different things about it, become very familiar with how homes work. And that ultimately could serve as a future foundation of having an amazing sales career after you have that inspection foundation. It also could serve as a very comfortable way to enter the industry later in life. So if you were a plumber, electrician, any type of contractor earlier in your life, you could have a huge opportunity to just have a low collect, easy way of living, doing home inspections, and not having so much stress dealing with the people side of the business. The last primary vertical is title. And so we have both escrow officers and underwriters there as well. And the title companies ensure all aspects of the sales agreement have been met, and they transfer funds once the transaction has been finalized, and then ultimately are responsible for putting the property at the recorder's office. And so in order to work in title, you do need to have an escrow agent license, and then the barrier to entry is pretty low thereafter. What I would say about title is it's definitely the safest way to enter the real estate industry. You get paid a salary, and you can get small bonuses and commissions based upon doing a certain amount of files. But ultimately, it is very safe. You can have a starting salary of between 50 and 60,000, and that through time and experience and management can grow into the low 100,000s. So it's great for people who really value steady work and a steady paycheck. The two last primary verticals I'm going to cover are the ones that relate most to our firm, and that is the property management and sales. So with us owning a large property management company, CNC Property Management, we manage about 1,200 units here in Central California. And there are several positions that you can go into within property management. The most common is definitely becoming a property manager. And when you're a property manager, you handle the day-to-day of running investment properties. And you get what I really love about it, and why I wanted to get in property management first as my first thing to do, was I wanted to get firsthand experience with investment properties. I wanted to use other people's money to understand what the goings on were for property management and how I can maximize properties and how I could really lever things up in order to increase the value of these multifamily properties. One of the best things about property management is there's absolutely no license required. So there's almost no barrier to entry to working at a property management firm. Now, with that being said, in order to open a property management company, it has perhaps the highest barrier of entry because you do have to have a broker's license. Other available fields within property management include a leasing assistant, where you're in charge of touring prospective tenants to the different properties. You also can handle some of the property inspections, and then just general admin that's all related to rental properties. Another very common growth pattern for property managers is to start off as a property manager, and then graduate into becoming a regional manager. And when you're a regional manager, you oversee a set of property managers. You visit them at all their different properties periodically. You oversee reports and things like that. And so this is really great for people who get into property management and are very skilled at the analysis and management side of things. And so it gives you an opportunity for advancement in both responsibilities. Pay for entry level for a property manager usually starts off similar to title in that $50,000 to $60,000 range, depending on which area you're living in. If you're living in a very expensive area like Santa Clara or San Francisco, you can expect to see that more like in the 60 to 70 starting range. And then the upside of it can get as high as 120 to 150, similar to. Last is the controller CFO. A very unknown thing about property management is it has very extreme requirements for reporting financials. As a property manager, you are withholding in trust accounts a significant amount of money. And in order for you to be trusted with that money, you need to be somebody who really understands the ins and outs of trust accounting required by the Department of Real Estate. And so our firm has been already audited and expect to get audited every few years because of our size. And because of that, we have to have ample controllers and CFOs within our team. And so if you're somebody who really loves numbers, but still likes to get your hands dirty and learn about real estate investing, then being a controller or a CFO at a property management company is an excellent route for you to explore. The last one to cover today is working in sales at a residential sales brokerage. And for us, this is where we like to really see our people who start off in the entry level positions. We like to see them wanting to graduate to this point. And working in sales, you can either be a residential realtor, or you can work in commercial real estate. And then last, it would be more of the administrative side, which is being a transaction coordinator. And of course, realtors and commercial real estate agents, I think we're all very familiar with them. They're very celebritized. People love to watch the shows as Selling Sunset and $1 Million Listing, all those fantastic things. And to be frank with you guys, when you're watching these shows, about 50% of the industry they reflect about 50% of the job very well. The parts where they're showing them working with clients, having a flexible schedule, having opportunities at large commissions, those parts are all real. And they're negotiating with people and taking care of their properties and doing a lot of those type of things. The parts that they don't show are the other half of the business, and that's the lead generation. So to me, lead generation is the most important factor of the industry. And there's really two ways that you can lead generate. Number one is to have a database of people that you already knows, likes, and trusts you. And that's absolutely the best way to grow any business, not just a real estate business. And then the second way is to have more of a cold outreach / paid advertising type of approach to the business. Now, this is obviously less desirable because cold outreach takes a significant amount of time, and you're going to have to nurture these leads throughout their sales process. Likely when they're meeting you, they're going to be very high in the funnel. So it may lead to you not having commissions right away. So it's not uncommon for a brand new agent who does not have their own sphere of influence to go 1 to 3 years without receiving their first commission. So that's why it's always really great for you to work your database first. But if you're a person who doesn't have a database yet, then the amount of work that you put in to finding new clients is the exact output of success you'll find within the industry. The barrier to entry for sales is just having a DRE, salesperson license required, and I will cover that a little bit later in this presentation. Okay, the last thing that I want to cover as a vertical is that everyone can be an investor. Real estate investing is very popular among all people who have identified that they want to have multiple lines of income, they want to grow generational wealth, and they can do this type of things in addition to whatever their day job is. Now, if you already work in the real estate industry, there are some tax benefits that you receive as becoming a real estate investor. And then you also have a knowledge advantage against everybody else. So if you think about if you're a real estate investor, or excuse me, a real estate agent, and you're competing on a property against somebody who's a doctor, this doctor probably knows very little about cash flow, about fixing toilets, and what type of vendors they need to hire for different jobs. Whereas if you're a real estate agent, this is the things that you're doing day in and day out. So if you are already a real estate agent, you have a huge advantage. But I really tell everybody that I talk to that I believe real estate is the best asset class to invest in. And the two primary reasons why is because it has multifacets of income. You can make money by your monthly cash flow, appreciation, and then there's significant tax advantages of being a real estate investor. And then also ultimately the long-term performance of the properties has significantly outperformed other asset types. And because of that, I recommend all people become real estate investors. Now, the cool thing about real estate investing is there's a million different ways you can do it. And these are just a couple of ways that I've done it and have seen some of my clients have the most success. Number one is buying rental properties. And Charlie Munger says the money is not made in the buy or the sell. The money is actually made in the hold. And we've heard other sayings such as just buy real estate and wait. And that those foundational theories are really have held true over time. Next is fix and flip. And this is for people who like to be a lot more active. If you have some construction experience, and you can definitely make quicker large sums of cash doing this, but it has a lot of risk that carries with it. And that kind of serves as a thing to keep in mind for any industry or any opportunity, is that your income will be in direct relation to the amount of risk that you're taking in that position. So if you have a desk job that you're clocking in, clocking out of, you have very little risk. Whereas if you're starting your own venture or putting up capital, you have a significant amount of risk. And so the return on your risk should depend on the amount of risk that you're putting in. Next is wholesaling. So wholesaling is a very creative way to get into real estate. So wholesaling is when you can identify a property that might be dilapidated, or a seller who is in a position where they need to sell quickly. You can find them, negotiate with them, put the property in a contract, and then either assign or double close on the property to another investor who ultimately wants to hold it as a rental property and fix and flip it. So you can do wholesaling with absolutely no money down, and you can find these properties by just driving the streets and looking for the most dilapidated properties and then finding the owner's contact information. This is how I personally found my first investment property. Was driving along and I saw the worst house on the best block, went and knocked on it. They weren't home. Found one of the neighbors who did know who they were, got their phone number, and was able to purchase the property that way. Next is a developer. I really love the developer industry right now. I think that we're in the real estate industry is in the tale of two worlds, where we have the people we have the properties that are well priced, move-in ready, and those are the ones that are selling extremely fast with multiple offers, and they're going for over ask. And with the other side of the story is the properties that are not move-in ready, maybe something funky about them, and they're being priced in a way that is speculative, where people are just throwing up these crazy numbers and hoping somebody takes it, or it's their make me move price. And so I think developers have a tremendous opportunity right now to scoop up properties that are sitting on the market for a significant amount of time, put in some work to them so that they become more move-in ready and more attractive, and then repricing them in a better price point at initially listing it. And it's going to be a great way for developers to make quick money. But of course, it does come with a risk similar to that of fix and flip. REITs are great for people who have less money or don't have time to invest in real estate. So REITs will actually handle the entire real estate investment experience for you. You just invest the money and receive your returns. And then if you're somebody who's looking to just start getting into investing, these are some of the ways that I recommend most to quickly get into it. So one is using a self-directed IRA to purchase real estate. If you have been committing to your 401k, you can roll that over to a self-directed IRA and purchase real estate directly into that IRA. Next is the house hack. So you can buy a multifamily, maybe a fourplex. You can buy it with 3.5% down, live in one of the units, and then rent out all three of the others. And if you rent them out, the payments from the other rents may cover your entire mortgage or even give you cash flow. You could also do it as simple as buying a single family home and renting out the rooms within the home. Or you can buy a single family home and add ADU and both a junior ADU, effectively making it a triplex. And if you do this last scenario, I can almost guarantee you that you will be cash flow positive on your living situation. The next way to source a down payment for purchasing real estate is a 401k loan. So if you do have funds in your 401k, you can loan against it to up to 50%. If it's for a personally occupied home, your repayment will be over 30 years. And if it's for something that is going to be an investment property, your repayment period will be for about 10 years. But the great thing about these type of loans is that you are repaying yourself on the interest, not to it. And then last is a joint venture. And this is great for people who are young and don't have money yet. So if you go out there and find a property and that is a great deal, then the easiest part is to find somebody who has money but doesn't have the time or energy to work on it, and they can put up the money for the down payment. You guys co-sign on the loan, and then you are the one that does the work for getting the property prepped, rented, and handle the rent collection, all that great stuff with property management of it. All right, so now since we're mostly looking at opportunities within our firm with becoming a realtor, I wanted to speak a little bit about why become a realtor. So the number one reason that someone should become a realtor is not because they like real estate. It shouldn't be because you like going on Zillow and looking at the homes or opening up the newspaper on Sunday and seeing what open houses are. It's great to have a passion for homes, but ultimately this is a people-driven industry. And so if you're someone who is great at working with people, you could also hate houses and still do extremely well. So to me, the number one factor of becoming a successful realtor is the desire to bet on yourself. And the reason why that's so important is because as a realtor, you have uncapped earning potential, and everything that you do day in and day out has a direct impact on your income potential. So if you're somebody who wakes up early, reviews the hot sheets, has lead generation in your schedule, both the mornings and the afternoons, does networking during the days, you will be very successful and you make tremendous amounts of money. If you're somebody who likes to play video games and lay on the couch and things like that, you can expect to make no money in real estate. So if you're somebody who's ready to have the motivation, develop the habits, then you are somebody who's ready to bet on yourself and have a huge career. Some of the perks of being a realtor is that you have an extremely flexible schedule. So if you want to be able to take your kids to their soccer games or anything like that, you can build your schedule on your own. You are not clocking in 9 to 5, and you don't have a boss who's telling you when and where you need to be places. And ultimately, you get to help people. You get to help people with the biggest purchase of their life and one of the most basic hierarchy of needs. And this is huge when we talk about fulfillment, because there's millions of jobs out there where we're just checking boxes and not really actually helping anyone, or we're just sitting behind a desk or a computer. When you're a realtor, you're working with people out in the field and helping them with the most important decisions of their life. And then why not to become a realtor is just the converse of everything I just said. So if you're a person who values security over uncapped upside, then being a realtor is probably not for you. You probably should be in more of the fields of property management or title work, because you are going to have a safe, steady paycheck and not have to worry about those months where you have absolutely no income. Next would be your not income and your own ability to perform. Mindset is so important in real estate sales. And if you're somebody who struggles with mindset, becoming an outside salesperson is going to be very challenging for you. If you do not like working with people, I absolutely do not recommend becoming a realtor, because like I said before, you could know nothing about houses, but love people and truly understand them and be very successful. And last, you should not become a realtor if you prefer a 9 to 5 job where you're indoors or at a desk with a net set salary. Realtors are out in the field, seeing homes, meeting people, shaking hands, kissing babies, all that great things. And so if you love that, if you love to be a galvanizer and you love to put a smile on people's face, then it's just for you. But if you like to be a little bit more of a hermit, you like to conserve your energy, then being a realtor might not be for you. Okay, so now a little bit more about the career paths and internships with our firm. So we are hiring both interns and part-time jobs right now in Santa Clara County, Monterey County, Fresno County, and in Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, Monterey, Fresno. Yes. So the job that we typically like to have people start off in, if they're not already licensed, is our leasing assistant. The leasing assistant position is an amazing position to start off in, especially from an internship perspective, or if you're somebody who's just like already working in your real estate courses and waiting for all the paperwork to get through, because you get a tremendous amount of exposure in a short amount of time. A successful real estate agent might show, like on average, about 5 houses a week, maybe even less, depending on what market you're in. If you're in a really high price market, you might even show less houses than that every week. Whereas a leasing assistant is going to guarantee show 5 houses in a day. So you're going to see a lot more homes, you're going to talk to a lot more people, and you're going to get a lot more comfortable with it quickly. And then also you're going to find out if it's something that you like very quickly. Now with our team, we have these opportunities coming up for right away and in the summer. And if you end up getting into leasing assistant position, you like it, then we will help transition you to getting your real estate license and becoming either a real estate agent or sending you down the path of becoming a property manager if that's something that you preferred once you saw that working within the property management company. Our starting pay for leasing assistants is $18 per hour. And if you're a college student, we typically like to see more on the part-time side of anywhere between 12 and 20 hours per week. And that's just really different for each person. But one of the best parts is that you are very flexible in what times you're doing that, as long as it's set ahead of time. So if you sell it, say, hey Kyle, I need to, because of my school schedule, I need to work on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 2. And then on Saturdays, I can do a full 8 hours. Then we'd say, great, but let's just set that in stone. So we can be very flexible as long as we can set it in stone moving forward. If you really love the property management side of things, we have currently opportunities becoming a property manager. And the property manager is a great starting way to start in the industry as well, because you're going to learn a ton of things. You're going to learn way more in 6 months of being a property manager than you will in 3 years of becoming a real estate agent. Property managers touch every single step of the process. And to me, it's just baffling on how much myself and other team members have learned by being property managers, so that when scenarios come up, being an agent, it's something we've done a million times. And I find that people who go to straight being a real estate agent, they might know how to write a contract or how to show a house, but they don't know how to communicate with the city or how to read an inspection report or very just simple things about maintenance of a home. So I really like property managers working in the field for 1.5 to 3 years first in order to get that knowledge. And then also ultimately, like I mentioned earlier, it gets you firsthand experience on investments and you get to communicate with a lot of investors. So it really helps parlay into that part of the industry as well. Next is you can go from being a leasing assistant to being a team agent. And this is something that we really love to use this leasing assistant as a launching pad towards, because from being a leasing assistant, you get to see that you really like communicating with people, you like showing homes. And then when you transition to becoming an agent, we provide the foundation for you to build your business upon. So most companies that you'll go to, if you go to Sotheby's or Intero or Coldwell Banker, they will use the term of, you can hang your license under our brokerage. And what that means is that they will take liability, they'll handle things from a liability and compliance standpoint, and they might provide you some generic trainings, but they're not going to give you opportunities because they're not ultimately giving you that foundation that you need to be successful. Real estate agents have an 87% failure rate in the first 3 years, and that is not okay with me. And the reason why the industry experiences so much failure initially is because these brokerage get brand new agents in and don't properly set them up with the opportunities that they need in order to succeed. And it's very challenging for a person to start to work in the industry for up to 3 years without getting paid. And then last is investment partner. And this is a very unique with our firm. I've actually never heard of another company having this type of position, and we did create it on our own. So our investment partner position is a hybrid between property management and real estate agent, where you're essentially meeting with the prospective landlords that want to work with CNC Property Management. You're meeting with them, you're signing them up for property management services, and then you transition them to our onboarding and operations team. So you have no more ongoing property management responsibilities with them, but what you do is stay in contact with them and help them continue to upgrade their portfolio. And one of my favorite things to tell landlords and investors is, hey, you own this property at 123 Main Street and it's done well for you. It's appreciated and you're cash flowing X amount of dollars. But if you look at this property that's down the street on 15678 Main Street, it's a multifamily and we can triple your cash flow and get you in a better position to create generational wealth. And once they start looking at the numbers, they agree that's a great investment strategy. And then you get to represent them on selling that previous investment property and then purchasing their new ones. Also opportunities for helping them just grow their portfolios, which most investors would like to do. And then in the scenarios where you're meeting with accidental landlords, those people don't want to be landlords to begin with. And so they're renting it for just a couple of years because maybe they bought it for a high price, or maybe they have some sentimental value to it. But then you can put them in a position where they can exit that property, but still have all the tax advantages of the Section 121 exclusion, where they can sell it for up to $500,000 capital gains tax. So those are our leasing assistants, primarily where we like to start people. And then these are the 3 kind of pathways that people go from after starting as that leasing assistant. If you are an individual who is already licensed, you have the ability to start off right away as a team agent, as an investment partner, or even a property manager you could start in as right away, whether or not you're licensed. Just a quick little overview of our leadership team. So there in the middle is myself and Kevin Cesario. We are the founders of CNC Property Management and CT Realty Group. We also have a luxury sales team, the C Group, which Kevin is the lead agent of. Kevin is a superstar real estate agent. Over the past 3 years, he has sold over 30 million, or excuse me, over the past 3 years, he has sold over 50 million every year consistently. And for those of you that are really good at math, that means you can quickly calculate that means he's creating over 1.2 million in commission consistently over the past 3 years. So it shows you right there the upside for working in real estate is tremendous. In no other industry can you not have further education, just simply have a high school or a GED license and make that kind of money. And then Jacqueline on the left-hand side, she works on the brokerage. She is on our operations. And then Brett on the far right side is the GM of CNC Property Management. So should you pursue an internship with us, these are the 4 primary people you'd be working with and learning from. So a timeline of what things look like if you were to start with us in an internship and to grow from there. Let's say you were to watch this today, schedule an interview, and then move forward as a leasing assistant. So you become a leasing assistant in March of 2023. After 2 months, we would meet with you and verify this was something that you enjoyed doing. We would review your successes, your frustrations, and if it ultimately was something that you wanted to go further in, we would enroll you in real estate courses and take you through the experience of getting your real estate license. After a roughly 6-month period, you would be able to pass your real estate license, and then you can start receiving opportunities with buyers, sellers, and investors that our company is providing, in addition to having the ability of working your database. So that's just a timeline. I talk to a lot of people that think, hey, I can make the decision that I want to be a real estate agent and they can start tomorrow. And just the main thing to remind you here is that the DRE is a bureaucracy. And so we are subject to their timelines and waiting for them to respond to forms and tests. If you do want to go ahead and just start working on getting your real estate license before even pursuing an opportunity with us, which I do highly recommend as well, my favorite place to take real estate courses is alliedschools.com. Under alliedschools.com, you need to take 3 courses. So they give you 2 primary. It's California Principles and California Standards. I don't remember what the 2 things are. And then you also choose 1 elective. You can choose business law, property management, different things like that. And then so you have a total of 3 courses that you have to take. And then for each course, you have a required 18-day waiting period. So no matter how fast you take the course, it still makes you wait 18 days. So you'll have a total of 54 days is basically the fastest that they'll allow you to take those courses. When I personally did it, I waited 53 days. And on the 54th day, I opened up all 3 and finished them in 1 day. And the reason I was able to do that was because all tests are open. So you're not having to memorize this information, and you don't have to take all the quizzes as long as you're able to pass these open book tests. Everybody's studying style is different though. So if you're somebody who really needs to internalize and read multiple times, please do not use my studying strategy. But if you're somebody who can absorb things very quickly and you are good at open book tests, then I do recommend taking that route. And the reason I say that is because the most important thing that you need to come upon is taking your state exam. And unfortunately, the 3 courses that you take prior to being eligible for your state exam do not contribute to the knowledge that you need. So the things that you're learning in these 3 courses just turn out to be very different than what you're actually going to be taking in your state exam. So for that state exam, I recommend using different cram books. There's millions of them out there. Some of the most common ones I've heard of one of the most common ones I've heard of is Agent Prep that people really enjoy. And then last is utilizing test taking skills. So it's all multiple choice. Make sure when you're going through, you're eliminating the answers that you know that is not correct. And then also, if you are an advanced test taker, you know how to go through the test first, categorize all the questions that are in the same category, and then create a little cheat sheet on what questions bundled together. Then once you've answered everything, you can go back to your little cheat sheet and review your bundled questions and see if there's any inconsistencies in your answers, because ultimately all of those answers should line up with one another and not contradict each other if they're similar types of questions. So next steps. So if you are interested in pursuing a career with the property management, C2 Realty Group, or the C Group, or even real brokerage as an independent agent, the first step is to send an email to myself, Kyle@ccrentalpro.com. That is my email for the property management company. And in this email, please include a resume and a cover letter typed in the body of your email. And the cover letter should include some primary points. What I'd like to see in there is why you're interested in real estate and why you're ready to bet on yourself. And then what fields interest you most between the ones we discussed today. And even if it's something that we didn't discuss today, please elaborate on it. I would love to hear more about how you came up with those. Maybe you had a friend or family member who is experiencing that niche very well. And I would love to hear more about that. I'm always trying to learn more every single day. And last, I want to hear about past successes and failures that you think put you in a position to succeed, because ultimately these past successes and failures are the stepping stones that you take throughout your life that have built you the strength and fortitude in order to push through more hard things later in life. And so we like to see people who have past successes to build upon, because that is a clue for future success. And that's it for me today. So that's it for our presentation. I will now open it up. If anybody has any questions, I'll just stop my share and I'll just hang around for a couple minutes in case anybody had any specific questions after that.
Everything checked out on my end, Kyle. We'll be in contact and I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Colin. And Alejandro sent me a message in the chat. Thank you as well. Thank you for attending. So I will send out a recording here and look forward to hearing from you all one-on-one through email. So thanks so much again, guys, today, and have a great weekend. Take care.